Gawin Fernando, everyone.
How you doing?
Welcome back to the vlog. We have hundreds of businesses that operate here at Creative Cubes, and a lot of the smaller businesses and a lot of actually some of the maturer businesses are looking to expand beyond the Australian market. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have Gav come in today and talk to us about global supply chain. So do you want to just give a high level of who you are, what you do,
Sure.
where you're from, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. So I'm from a company called ProKinetics Australia, based in Melbourne. We service the whole of Australia, and we've also got a sister company in New Zealand called Katahi. We essentially are an integral part of the supply chain, the global supply chain, in that we facilitate the physical transportation of the goods. So whether that be sea freight, air freight, trucking, warehousing, distribution, moving goods from A to Z and everything that comes in between, including compliance and customs.
Yeah. So we're working together, actually, just full disclosure, we're working together on a pet company where I made an investment in a pet business called WAG, or getwag.com.au.
Run, go out and try them pet treats.
Yeah, great pet treat company. They're dominating the Australian market here in pet specialty. If you go into a pet barn, a pet stock, jump online, getwag.com.au, they do a phenomenal job. And so having spent the last 15 years trading in and out of the United States and North America, including Canada, basically the CEO approached me and asked us for some support and some guidance. And so we actually plugged Gav and ProKinetics Australia in. So we produce product in Queensland, and Gav basically picks it up with his team and transports it all the way to Nevada.
Correct.
And then we have distribution out of Nevada, and also next month, I think January, you'll start to get container orders that are going up to Canada as well. So I just wanted to step through some of this stuff and sort of like educate our audience on, there's a lot of businesses, and globalization really is becoming
Absolutely.
a massive thing where you can buy product from the US and get it shipped to Australia.
Absolutely. There's a number of point of views that we can take on this. We're in the startup community and the startup ecosystem, so let's talk about companies that don't have personnel in a transportation department, and you're sort of leaning on the expertise of a third party, or even what you hear on the vine of how to do transportation. So I think WAG's a good example. First export opportunity for WAG?
To the US and Canada.
Yeah.
I think they've done some export historically, but not in North America.
Okay, great. So I guess we'll talk about export and then import. So export, there's a number of compliance items that need to be ticked off for export. WAG being pet food, pet treats, consisting of meats as well. There's a lot of Department of Agriculture things that need to be ticked off. So if you have a product or you have an item that you want to sell to the market, obviously Australian government with various industry bodies want to support that. They want to grow the export market to ensure that it's the highest quality possible, because anything exported out of Australia is representing Australia as well.
Yep.
There's a number of items that need to be ticked off by the government. So when sourcing customers overseas, obviously that's the first thing, setting up customers, first thing.
Yep.
And the second thing is ticking off that the items that you're actually trying to export into the country, wherever your customers are, can actually be imported in. And so I think WAG's a good example because it is pet food. It's quite complex in the sense that we have to raise quite a lot of documentation, which is pretty boring from a very high level, but very important.
Puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
But we plug you guys in.
Absolutely.
And you facilitate all of that.
Absolutely. So WAG, for example, you give me exactly what you're trying to export. And then we contact the Department of Ag through, we've got key personnel in-house that have great relationships with the Department of Agriculture and are accredited as well. And then they find out the relevant information, and we sort of work alongside and on behalf of your company, WAG, to make sure that everything's compliant. And then we make sure everything's ticked off here. We've got reciprocal offices all over the world that we utilise for door-to-door transportation.
Yep.
And we sort of plug them in as well and go, guys, we've got this great product that we need to get into the US, for example. What are the important regulations? So we tick off that end, we tick off this end, and then that's definitely the first step in all global logistics, to make sure that all the compliance is ticked off before you start the physical transport.
Yep.
And that's how you minimise costs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We tick off that, and then once that's all hunky-dory, we're good to go.
Yeah, so you've really simplified the process, and I'm glad that from the WAG's position, it's just a plug and play, and you guys take care of all of that, but it is complex. That said, it's not impossible. So if you do have a startup, if you do have a business that's wanting to expand beyond the borders, I'll link all the details in the description below for Gawin ProKinetics. This isn't a pitch to get them more business or whatnot. It really is a pitch to try and help you guys think beyond Australia, think beyond the Australian market. And we've had some success together, which is why I've asked him to come and vlog with us today. But there's a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of I guess due diligence or red tape that needs to be navigated. And while it's not impossible, it is quite overwhelming. And I think that plugging a strong player in or partner in with the example of PK or ProKinetics is a huge value add to your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You look today at just dialing it back a few steps. Forget about exporting containers or importing containers or whatnot. You look at the likes of Amazon. I have an Amazon US account, and I can order stuff and get it shipped straight to my address here in Australia. Amazon's now in Australia. The opportunities for what they call tabletop businesses, meaning that you literally have your inventory in a warehouse in a third-party logistics, or a 3PL is what they refer to it as. Having your product in a 3PL and literally running your business maybe from a co-working space, or alternatively from your kitchen top, they call them tabletop businesses. You really can have global reach.
Absolutely.
So I implore you to think a little bit bigger than the way you're thinking. Not that you're not thinking big enough, but
it's more so, just to interrupt you there, it's more so, but we work with startups, we work with global businesses, and we work with startups every single week as well. We get a number of calls in from people who have never done shipping before and had no clue how to do it.
Yep.
And we're here to help. Some people know how to ship, a lot of people don't. And before I got into the industry, I looked at the whole thing and thought it was quite daunting. And I know for a fact that a lot of my mates and family don't know what I do or how I do it, because everything that people utilize these days is imported into the country, for example. No one really thinks about how it actually physically gets there.
Yeah.
So, for startups and for those that sort of want to source out of China, for example, the main due diligence is the main thing. So finding a supplier, which is as easy as looking on Alibaba, and the next steps from there is sort of like plugging in a reputable freight forwarder or a reputable supply chain company or global transportation company that can then see from when you make your purchase and you put your deposit into that Alibaba account to make sure that the goods actually arrive.
Yep.
At destination, wherever that may be in Australia, and that it's at the expected quantity as well. The quality side of things will always need to be handled by the importer itself.
Yeah.
But the physical transportation, it's not daunting as long as you have somebody that you can actually lean on for their expert advice.
Yeah, and if you're a company that's got an e-commerce site that wants to export beyond Australia, it's very easy to be able to set up your e-com site and have PayPal protect you from a buyer purchasing aspect, and then plugging in someone that enables you to be able to ship that goods.
Yes.
You become instantly global. If I can just take it back for 10, maybe 12 years ago, maybe 12 or 14 years ago, we started selling pet lure online at petlure.com, which doesn't exist anymore, sadly. It got acquired. So you can go to petlure.com and it'll redirect you to the new ownership. And you know, we were shipping, like we were selling to, you know, close to 500 pet retail stores here in Australia, but we actually ended up shipping to like 150 odd countries around the world. Some of those were in container loads to big large distributors, but I remember shipping to, you know, random locations, like not random countries, but random locations like the Netherlands.
Flight courier or?
Yeah. It was what's the yellow and red?
Sweden?
No, the Korea.
Oh, Korea.
Yeah, yellow and I can't remember their name. They're a global organization.
Okay.
But the point of the conversation was we did tens of thousands of units a year in markets where randomly people would find our website, whether there was an SEO kink, and people were like, hey, we got them really excited about the product because they landed on our website, and then they went to purchase, you know, early days we were like Australia only through these retail stores, and it was like, man, there's an opportunity. Yeah. When I sold the business in 2013, you know, we were at 155 countries of export. 12 of them were container load countries, and the balance, which is 141 odd regions, were all just one single SKUs, but in volume. Yeah. In volume. So like, you know, we would pack 150 orders that would just go out the door to all these foreign markets every week. Yeah. And
that's what being, I mean, in this day and age as a startup especially, like you don't have to, you know, all you have to have is a great product, which obviously you have with the pet loo, and then you can tap into the global market very easily.
So quick. Yeah. So really, I just wanted you to, firstly, I wanted to introduce you to Gawin. Secondly, I wanted to really get you to think about beyond the borders. I want you to think about the market as a global market, because today, at the click of a button, it all happens. So
and even gearing your business up as well, if it's a physical product, that to go to the global markets, like when you're doing your branding and your marketing, your packaging and all that sort of stuff, don't think Australia, think globally, because one day, even tomorrow, you just unexpected, you might have somebody call you up from some random country going, hey, I love what you do, I want to buy a couple of containers.
That's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to the US when I started exporting to the US. Yeah, okay. Some guy called up out of nowhere, and I don't think it was by chance. Obviously, we were marketing and starting to really optimize our website, but he called me up. He's like, I'd like to apply to become a distributor for your products. I had no idea about it. I was like, but as an entrepreneur, I was like, yes, no problem. He gave me an opening order of $78,000. Yeah. Okay. Sight unseen. Yeah. And that order came in pretty much every second month.
Jeez.
And so we had to gear up pretty quickly. I had no idea what I was doing, but somehow I was managed to find the right partner and help plug in and get it done. Yeah. So,
and we, again, back to the getting a reputable like freight forwarding company. They should have also reciprocal offices all over the world, as I mentioned before, so that when Toby gets an order for $78,000 a month and he needs to get it door to door. And another thing that you have to also be very mindful of is the Incoterm that you negotiate with, which is very important. But give me a bell, send me an email, I'll be able to tell you exactly how to do that. Yep. But making sure that you have the right Incoterm, you have those reciprocal offers overseas, so that you can call up your freight forwarder or your shipping guy and be like, hey man, I need to get this stuff to the middle of nowhere in the US. Yep. Do it for me. Yep. And then in 2 days I'll have a full quote, all the charges, everything accounted for, and they'll be able to, within a week if you want, you'll be able to ship it out. So and that's what good companies can do for you.
That's right. And so I just in summary, details will be below. That yellow and red company that was in my head, DHL. Yeah. Come on, man. It came back. It came back. All right. Awesome vlog coming up on Monday. I've got a superstar coming in all the way. It's not me. All the way from another superstar. All the way from Los Angeles, California. He's actually a Melbourne boy that's living abroad. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Schaefer. Tuesday we have a bunch of other exciting people joining us. So this will be the last week. We're rolling into the last week of the year. So the vlog will continue up until Friday, and then it'll be probably a 2.5 week hiatus while everyone goes a little bit crazy over the summer break, and then we'll be back in force 2018. So, Gav, thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate it. My pleasure.
See you guys next week.